Hey YouTube, really? The moment I start, your Jay's gonna start squawking. Hey YouTube, today we're gonna, weather permitting, today we are going to start installing a radio, Bluetoothy thingy into my RZR. It's probably long overdue, probably should have done this a long time ago. I am going to be installing this Rockford Fosgate Chinese knockoff into my glove box because I've already got something going on in my center console. I really only got the space for installing anything and where the glove box is, and unfortunately to make things look kind of cool and whatnot, Polaris and geez everybody else can't have just a nice flat surface, because boy it would have fit here if this was all flat. And if I felt like doing way too much fabrication, I could make it work, but I don't. And I don't want to have any pods poking up. And I'm using, I don't know, a powered antenna. I don't think it's a Polaris antenna. It's a powered antenna. It's made for a general, but I'm going to make it work on my 1000S. So I'm just sticking this bit of metal into my 8-inch Kenmore vise, and we'll reef it straightish. Might have to do a little pounding, not sure, but you know, much straighter. Okay, get out the 15mm impact gun and let's find out. Swing, swing. We'll probably have that sneak in behind this piece of plastic here. I don't know if you can see that on camera, so the antennae. Remind me to tighten all this up, because I'm going to leave it kind of loose for right now. So here's where the antennae will go. Oh, yeah. We got bear season going on, so the guns are starting to go off. Okay, now this is a powered antenna. So this fun little ground I've got to attach here. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe if we zoom in on it. Right there. Okay, so after locating the antenna, just run the antenna cable down behind this little hole, behind the A-pillar, and then feed it through to where the dash is going to covers up here. It's all going to wind up down in this crevice here, but for now, just leave it dangling loose. Okay, so after drilling the hole and shaping the hole and getting the hole just so, I went ahead and drilled in, pre-drilled, tapped the holes, and then put the 4 stainless screws in. Now some of these just snap in. This particular Chinese knockoff of the Rockford Fosgate uses screws to hold the radio head in. So now the next thing is I've shoved in my box, but not really screwed it in. And in here we have part of the wiring harness, the adapter wiring harness, if you will, that goes to the head, the radio's head, and goes out the wiring. So I'm shooting the wire through a hole in the top of this thing. Focus. And now I've already located like the ground on the ground lug. I've got my switched power here. This is my permanent power. I know it's yellow. I'm matching what's going on in the radio head. And right here for my winch, I've got hot and ground here. So I'm going to put that yellow right here on the hot, which is effectively like putting it on the battery. And then the rest of the wires, well, I'm soldering them and down in here. I don't know if you can see. Oh, yeah. Camera settings. There you go. So, yeah, my finger looks like it's bright. So I'm going in here and soldering these connections and then either using electrical tape or shrink tubing to clean them up. Buddy, more than having food, wants to play fetch. Focus. Putts. Hey, all right, YouTube. MinnesotaEric here. So I've been working on my, let's put a radio into my side-by-side project. And originally I brought in these pod speakers, and they sound pretty good. I like them. They're cheapy boss, really cheapy boss. Like, what was it, $60 for a pair of them? The problem here we have is they're a little large for the tubes. They came with a bunch of rubber snubbers, and eventually you pack a bunch of rubber snubbers and you can mount them. But where to mount them? You know what I mean? I'm like, ooh. I've got a moto screen that goes just like this, but it continues on the bottom here. And if you look, well, let me tell you what. Here's what. Originally, I was going to put pods in. You see? Can you see that? Oh my gosh. Get it, yeah. See that pod there? Now that one isn't bolted in, but there would be one for each side, and it holds a 6.5-inch speaker. Well, so I bring in these Rockville speakers, and I plugged them into my radio just to see what they sound like, and they don't sound very good at all. They're very quiet. They're very, very quiet. I don't like quiet. Well, I like quiet, but not like that. Anyway, so back to my pod speaker. So then I was thinking, well, okay, where to mount those? And I was thinking maybe kind of a similar position. Like, oh, I could hose clamp them in like here. That would work. Then I started thinking, well, maybe if you look, there's kind of like there's space behind the seat to hang these things. So now I'm thinking maybe I weld on some round stock on the back side of this, just enough to, hold the speaker up, and that's where it lives. I know from a prior experience taking the Tupperware off is that you kind of want to have as much space as you can underneath there for popping this part up and out. So I got a little bit of space consideration. I'm almost thinking of making a bolt-on version. I'm not sure. I sure could. It'd be easier to weld. I'm going to figure that out right now. This is not flat. So let's go like 3 inches from the long side. Cut there. Cutting. Okay. Safety squint and squeeze the ears. Here's my phone. It's Mr. Munt. Mr. Munt!
Good afternoon. What are you up to?
Okay. This time with more feeling. Oh, this is dumb. Oh, it says Morse on it. It's a Menards blade that's fired. Be gone, waste of time. Alright, safety squint engaged. Alright, now we've got to go figure out how to mate these with the back of my RZR's roll cage. So I can see that I've got a bit of an interference fit. If this was an oval instead of a round, it would fit. So I'm thinking make oval. Probably the fastest way is to get a hammer and just bash it, but let's see if we can be gentle. Can we gently make oval? Okay, test fitting time. No, yeah, maybe. It's focus. Yeah, anyway, it's oval-ish. Maybe not enough. We'll go test drive. Mush factor 9. All right, definitely has that oval shape. Now with less round. Oval. 1 3/8 inches. You know, let that be a lesson. If I just measured it, I wouldn't be making 40 trips back and forth. It springs out to 1.5 inches. Okay, quite a bit of springiness. As much as I'd like to bolt this in, I think I'm gonna weld them because welding's easier. Just is. Even though I got to get my cart over there. Actually, maybe I can just start the machine up and bring it to the welder. Yes, that's what we'll do. Okay, because now we're ever so slightly smarter, having actually measured the opening is 1.5 inches. We know we got to mush the second one down to 1.5 inches. It seems to me we had to go 1 3/8, right? Oops, a little too much, but you know, close enough for horseshoes and hand grenades. Or welding. And just for record, those are my settings on my Miller Multimatic. Alright, well, we got to do a little metal prep here for welding. Got to make some bare metal. Boy, I need to clean this screen. I can't see nothing. I have already disconnected the battery. Unlike one of my old diesels that there's no electronics on it, this thing's got at least 3 ECUs. The head for the engine front end, the ECU that runs everything, and then the radio itself too. So there's 3 electronics I could get fried out. And I don't want to weld on them, so I disconnected the battery. Until we're ready. Alright, here we go. Yes, I like it. That's a good tack. Now we should have a good ground. Should. Let's not touch the trigger. Come on. Come on, sweetheart. There we go. That's a good weld. Alright, we gotta change our ground around. I am reasonably certain that those are very secure for holding pod speakers. And I'm also reasonably certain that if for some reason I have to remove them, I'll be cursing that I wrapped the weld on the bottom. Okay, so I've got a day went by. I got rained out, chased away by rain. But so these Boss speakers, you can see, wow, they really have way too much slop. This makes mounting them a pain in the hassle. And there's no metal on here, so it's not like I can just weld something on here. But they do come with a whole bunch of this kind of sticky, it's not 3M. I wish it was 3M back glue. But anyway, this rubber snubbers. And it looks like I'm going to have to double up on each of these. And then unbolt this and kind of clamp the speakers down. So that's, anyway, that's my plan. So real quick, we just... probably gonna have to get a scissors here. And then it's cold and windy out. Oh, it's like 45 degrees out this morning. Fahrenheit for those of you who are watching from elsewhere, and I have no idea what the Celsius conversion is. Come springtime, 45 degrees would almost be t-shirt weather because we're all climatized for really, really cold. But right now, I'm sitting around going, oh, this feels cold. So, okay, there's one, and then we're going to have to right about there, maybe. Doesn't have, shorter is probably better than too long. Does it fit? If it doesn't fit, you must have quit. For you O.J. Simpson's fans. That was 1990. I don't expect any of you guys to remember that. Alright, so now... better. I don't know, maybe one across the top. Yeah. Oh, uh-oh. Get off there. I can see it's trying to hang on to the back edges. I think what I'm going to have to do here first, though, is to loosen up these, what appears to be a 5mm Allen head to my calibrated eyeball. We'll see if I'm right. These things are going to have to get out of this box and go live on rails. Check this out. Okay, so you have these long things, but then they can't just sit in there. Oh, no, we got to have them somehow pressed. So in order to get them out, you got to pry them out. That is annoying. Tool makers. Oh, it is 5, as I suspected. You don't want to put too much pressure on these things because it's just a little bit of brass that's inserted in here. I see they got a rubber snubber in there. So I'm thinking maybe, hopefully these mics are not picking up all of this wind noise. And then just because it's cold, this glue isn't working the greatest either right now. Can I get you on here now? Okay, I can. Oh dear. Are they not going to get tight enough? This isn't going to get tight enough. Well, maybe. Maybe. All right. Let it buck. Otherwise, I'm going to have to put another piece of rubber on the bottom, which will make getting them together harder. Well, rubber dampened mounting. All right, I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so now I've got my speakers mounted. They are quite secure. They got a little rubber damping to them, but I think they're secure enough anyway. Hopefully they are. I guess we'll find out when things start rattling on the trail. Rattle, rattle. Okay, next I've got to run my speaker wires back down through the console here. And you see where the battery cables are right there? I'm gonna have the speaker wires follow that, and I gotta pop off this center thing. In fact, I keep this thing, I am in here so often that I just use the two T40 bolts to hold it down. I don't even bother trying to push in the thumb screws anymore. I don't know how often I get into this thing. Don't know why, but I'm always into it. And again, we gotta have like 35-mile-an-hour winds today. And again, hopefully you're not getting all of this wind noise. But and I'm being pelted by pine needles because it's officially fall. Let's see here. Can't I shove this thing through? Like, yay. Yeah. I end up taking this thing out from the passenger side because I've got this knee brace. So suddenly I've got a preferential side I want to pull this thing out from. Sometimes you have to put it back in drive or something like that, get it off. Okay, so this opens up where I'll zip tie this, and I guess, that looks pretty well greased. So this is where your carrier bearing would be if that ever takes shells on you. Pretty common thing to shell. So anyway, I gotta zip tie things down and have them follow along. Now, if I was a teenager, I would be properly motivated to go through all this foolishness, but because I'm in my 50s, I'm like, I like toe tappers, but gee whiz, I just want to have a little toe tappage. All right, so here's what I've basically done just to run the wires along where the center console would go, then underneath the passenger seat, and then up along a pillar. There's a metal pillar up there, and then somewhere along the way I lost the plot. White is right, and now it's left. That's okay. My stereo will be dyslexic, so am I. So until I get around to fixing it, I'm not too worried about it. But so anyway, it's too windy to even show you how it works. But it's in there now. I'm going to button everything else back up. Cool. That's as far. All right. Hey, YouTube, MinnesotaEric here. So I broke off a sway bar link. No, it's not an end link. It's a sway bar bracket. It's this thing. I broke one of these things off. I hit a big bump and it broke off. It literally broke off the frame. So I gotta weld this thing back on. Since this part is supposed to be on the frame, there's a nut plate that was on the frame. It's now gone, I don't know, it's into the ether. It's somewhere in the Paul Bunyan State Forest, I imagine. But so I got a barrel nut. I got to weld this barrel nut on, and it's on the underside of my razor. And then the question is, well, what's the best? I don't have a hoist. What's the best way to pick this up? So you can see I got a couple of straps here, and I brought my tractor home. You see where I'm going with this? That's another thing. I don't see it there. The trailer hitch. I don't want that getting kabonked. Really wish I had unlocked. I am going to go unlock my passenger door because you know what? Then I can run the loader from the passenger side on the ground while paying attention to what's going on out here. And why am I doing this? Well, I'm going to shove in this loader lock. So if a hose pops on my loader, I don't get squished like a bug. Because getting squished like a bug, well, as we know from all the bugs we've squished, that's no fun. So, anyway, YouTube, this is Redneck Science. Set it down. All right, so now the weight of the loader is being taken up on the loader lock. The loader lock is just a piece of metal, in my case, that holds the ram up from collapsing. So it's on the other side. Safety first. I got a new stupid problem. I left the sway bar bracket on top of the Polaris out of reach. That's what ladders are for. Proper prior planning. There we go. All right. So this is the existing right-hand side sway bar bracket. And this part right here is welded onto the frame, right? And this part down here is bolted onto the frame. And over here, let's adjust up the weight balance so you can see a little better. I did a proper job of breaking this thing off. It's still bolted up to the frame here, but the bracket is busted and it's literally just ripped out of the frame there. So in order to bolt on the new one, I've got to recreate a mount of sorts, and this mount stands proud from that flat surface in the frame, so I can't just weld my barrel nut straight to the frame. I gotta get in there and create more material, put more material in there for it to rest on. I gotta sneak in here and do a little excommunication. I'm gonna take this bolt all the way out because I don't want it in the way while I do a little test fitting, if you know what I mean. I may end up having, well, this thing, how high do I have to go if this is bolted here? And how can I get in here? Really? I'm grinding everything, but I want to grind here, but I'm grinding everywhere else. How can I do this? I need to remove the paint and the mill scale so I can get something to weld onto here. What do I got? Tiniest little grinding. Sometimes your tools are too big. That's the takeaway. Thankfully, that worked really well. Why did I do that in the first place? I guess I didn't think of it. That's a big... All right, so I've got clamped into place the thing that I'm going to use my electric glue gun to weld in, and it's a bit tight in here with everything in the way. And I'm not going to take off suspension components just to weld this stupid sway bar bracket on. And I think I've got enough clearance. I'm kind of making a guessing by gosh on how high that thing has to be. So we'll see. We'll see if it works. All right. The goal here is just to tack this bad boy, or try. No, I got an idea. If I tack it on this side, then move the sway bar over, then this thing maybe won't be in the way. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's try tacking it here. Come on, sweetheart. Can't see what I'm doing, but... Did the electric glue flow? Yeah, it did. Okay. See, I can't get this guy out of the way now. That was an ugly blind weld, but it doesn't look too bad to my eyeball. Yay. I'll give you a close-up as soon as I'm more done. Let's see if I can't do a better job here. This is an awkward weld. What's that look like? Oh, helmet's in the way now. God, that's not too bad. I'm gonna let that buck. I mean, it's not great. Totally farm welding here today, kids. We're not done welding yet, though. That's the thing. That's just the first part. I think what I'm going to do is just get in here and take a picture of this thing and show you the picture while I'm talking right now. Alright, YouTube, here's the result. It's not quite what I was hoping for. The spiral nut's welded a little crooked. I thought I had it good intact, and it went and it heat shrunk or it heat pulled down a little bit. Put the whole shebang a little cockeyed. So either it's going to bend back, the bolt's going to break, and I'll just start replacing bolts, or it's going to break off and I'll have to do it again, but better. I do think that the plate that I put onto the frame that I've got the barrel nut welded to is not going to go anywhere. I'm pretty sure that's pretty sturdy. But I really want this sway bar bracket back onto this machine, because this machine is super loose in the corners without it. I know the rock crawler guys, they disconnect them entirely. But, you know, for tight woodsy work, these sway bar work. They're here for a reason. Anyway, YouTube, if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more randomness, then by all means, subscribe. Till we meet again. Bye-bye.